A lot of times for the culture at a company, it really comes down to interacting with their manager and their team. And so I'm curious, what does the dev cycle look like on code reviews and working with the team? And then any additional thoughts about the culture that you enjoy so far?
Yeah, so we have a, Kanban-style SDLC. We have a very close relationship between the dev team and the product team. We really have two things going on with the SDLC. One, it's very much because we are doing some refactoring, and our project vision is actually called No Synced Up User Left Behind. We find that with startups, especially SaaS companies that want to break through various revenue goals, they sometimes forget the customers that actually did sign up. This is a heavy B2B sale. They will, in the interest of growing and gaining, they will sometimes just forget about the original reason why customers signed up in the first place. So we had to have a little bit of a circle back there and an honest conversation with each other and say, listen, the reason people love SyncedUP is because I'm working with a company that deeply understands my challenges. And so we are still in that place where we are in our SDLC working on knocking out some pretty heavy weak spots in our architecture. We don't have a scrum. We don't have sprint reviews. We have very informal conversations about that. We'll have a weekly architecture meeting so we can discuss and model out what changes are going to be made. At this point, we're too early to follow a super strict scrum methodology. We trust and we do a lot of conversation. So then secondly, we do scope out and break down into smaller tickets, challenges that we feel needs more accounting for as the team is working through that. So that is 4 days a week. On the 5th day of the week, we do something called Fix It Friday, which we will ask our CX teams to batch up all the bugs, and they can know that on every Friday we will knock out those bugs. Of course, if it's a super high priority bug, it interrupts the flow, but I would say with almost 95% accuracy, are able to batch the bugs for Fridays, and then the CX team leaves us alone for the other 4 days to really do that deep work that's being done. We also follow a one-pager methodology, and the way we do that is we ask our product people to really dump all their ideas into a product one-pager document. So, sometimes the company resents the fact that the developers are off doing stuff that they don't understand. And a lot of times product development is tied to developer availability. I can't work on this thing because the developers are not available. So what I've introduced is this asynchronous method where the product people can live their hearts out inside of a document. The developers are not there, but doesn't mean you can't have ideas and dream and be creative. So we have a one-pager flow where we have a template and we ask the team all the way from what it is they want to see, cascading all the way to, well, how does this serve our business goals? So they get to answer the fun questions and the harder questions inside of a document. The developers have their section. So when the developers feel like they are tired of doing certain things, they jump in and they answer some of these one pages. And slowly as a company, we are fleshing out asynchronously our one pages. That turns us into almost like this bill, like a $1 bill that you can trade. You can be like, hey, we have a fully fleshed out one pager. It's been it's complete, it's done. Now we get to pick what we want to work on next. The organization helps with the prioritization of those one pages, and and now we have this thing we can trade with in terms of project size. Do we want to tackle a massive industry defining change, or do we want to adjust our product accordingly? So that is a weekly conversation we have. So some companies might call it design reviews, or product, with maybe larger companies that have product teams that are actually also product design teams. But for us, it's still, we're so small that we have intimate conversations as a product and development team, which represents about 5 people, that discusses that, so that we don't sink into this world of refactoring without keeping our eye on the ball for the business goals. So that's a long-winded way to give you an insight into how a week looks. Mondays, we have our architecture meetings where the developers get down and dirty on their diagrams and what's the best way to do something. We also have our product one-pager meetings. And then on Fridays, we do Fix-It Fridays. And other than that, that is how the flow goes. We also do mobbing. So we're a fully remote team. Or maybe you'll get to this, but fully remote team. We do mobbing. So our developers usually mob together. We recently decided to not be dogmatic about it, but sometimes they'll split off and go work on their own things. But we generally have a mob mindset, which is, let's jump in, do the driver and the keyboard, and we have that whole methodology, which you can go Google.
One of the interesting things that I think you're probably selling a little short is for people that are going to join this team, they have the credibility of you joining their team, because I know the screening process is probably intense for them. And you've already said, well, high quality people are already on the team. But also they have the advantage of some of these like one-page product things going on, in the sense that you have access to, I'll say dozens, but maybe it's been hundreds of startup companies and all the mistakes that they've made in the past. And so if somebody eventually in the future would like to be either a founding CTO or a technical co-founder in the future, they're basically getting a front row view of how to skip all of the terrible mistakes that basically everybody makes. Because you have a front row view to those and you hear about them every week. So I
Yes,
feel like
yes.
that's a huge selling point for somebody that would want to join this team as
Thank you.
well.
Thank you. Coming from you, that's great. Yeah, I am the founder of 7 CTOs, super passionate about how we're showing up as leaders to our teams and how we are developing our teams into free, independent thinkers. We introduced unlimited vacation at SyncedUP, even though we're a very small team. And I know that could be a double-edged sword in some people's minds. What that really means is we collaborate with each other on time off. There's no logging it in a system in terms of trying to see how many days you have left. It's very much we trust each other, we work together, we coordinate some time off, especially because we're a small team. And what this third and fourth and fifth person is going to add is just a little more redundancy, so that people have more freedom to plan their vacations and their trips. We do company retreats. So once or twice a year, we do get together as a whole company. We do have some allowances around buying your dream machines. We're not Silicon Valley style, but we do want people to feel like the equipment they're working on is awesome. We want to respect your time and your autonomy. We want you to feel like you're part of something special. And we know that means that you need to be inspired. You need to feel like you're solving interesting problems. We have a couple very interesting, very innovative ideas that we believe is going to have a huge impact on the accuracy of people's numbers. that we're very excited about. So I feel very excited about this company, and I think it's going to be a fascinating learning experience for anybody who joins.